local mental health clinic located here in the community. Been providing holistic care for over 16 years.
16 years.
Anyway, yes, my mic is on. Anyway, we are going to continue part 2 of African American, Who Speaks to Your Interests. I'm joined in the house today by my good friend and colleague, Haywood Fennell.
President.
Welcome.
President.
Our other colleague, Deja Shinnerforth, is incognito, but we're going to carry on.
Yeah, we're going to carry on, Deja.
And we left off last time talking about why, you know, a lot of our people, although they're working, they're definitely on the bottom. Most African Americans are either working poor or poor. Despite from 1970 to now, it's been 47 years, we're dead last in most categories when it comes to quality of life issue. Why is that? And let me begin by saying I'm not here to disparage our immigrant brothers and sisters. I'm not here to point fingers or point blame. I'm here to question a strategy, a journey. Are we on the right journey to benefit the group? Yes, out of the 45 or 50 million of those who call themselves African American, about 5 million or 8 million doing pretty good. They're doing okay. But the vast majority of the race, is not faring well. Although folks who come here can benefit from the struggle that our fathers and grandfathers and mothers did, because now we've allowed ourselves to be, I think, hoodwinked under the umbrella of inclusion of these categories. Think about it. Minorities. Where does that speak to the historical or current interests of African American? People of color. Where does that address the historical or current interests of African American? Multiculturalism. Again, where does that address the interest, historical or current, of African America, and also diversity? Where does that address your interests? It doesn't. A person can come from Nigeria, Jamaica, Haiti, anywhere today, and there's a good chance that he would be selected before you, although he has no skin in the game. So I think something's wrong with that. And again, I'm not here to disparage those who come from afar, those who are immigrants. I'm not against the immigrants at all. I'm just for the African American community, and I think no one is speaking specifically to those interests. So we're going to have a dialogue, and it's okay if you don't agree with me or Haywood. That's okay. I think we need to have some dialogue about, are we on the right track? If you look at the proof in the pudding across this country, wherever they are, African Americans, right, they are dead last in every category as it pertains to quality of life. Something's wrong with that. Something wrong with that. And think about this term here, neighbor. Send me your poor, your tired, hollow masses. Who are they competing with? You. They're competing with you, African American, for public housing. Their kids who can't speak English are going into your school system, African American. Jobs. If they weren't here, you might get 10, because they're here, you get 7. They'll take 7, but you can't deal with 7. Because why? They're here. Social services. Who are they impacting? Yours. So all the policymakers who also great on immigration, they're not being dropped off in Newton, Wellesley, Canton, Sharon, Wayland. Where are they? Roxbury, Mattapan, JP, D Street Project, Franklin Hill Project. Who are they competing with? You. So I'm just here to say, I want to have a dialogue about, is this current strategy of being lumped in with everybody, is it working for the collective? I don't think so. But I want to hear from you, neighbor, because why? It affects you, African American. So call in, 617-708-3208. Again, 617-708-3208. Let's dialogue. Again, it's okay if you don't agree with us or agree with me. But you can't say that this strategy that we're on for the last 47 years has worked well for the collective. And one more thing before I let Haywood chime in. I read an article in the Banner about a couple of months ago, and I shared it with you. It showed the net worth of folks here in the city. Just all of my groups. The African American net worth was $8. Think about it. After liabilities and assets, his net worth was $8. So you mean to tell me from 1970 to now, all you'd have left over is $8 is your net worth? Is that working for you? Is that working for the community? I don't think so. So again, I'm just saying the community needs to take a pause and critique and see, are we on the right track? Does immigration, do these here, your tired, huddled masses that compete with you now? Understand now. They're not bringing in folks who are highly skilled, educated, and talented. Because why? Then they'll be competing with their children and with them. They're competing with you. So I'm saying, is it in your or our best interest? I don't think so. Brother Haywood?
Oh, I'm glad to be here today. I've got to tell you, man, I'm really excited about what's going on.
Yeah.
We have been lackadaisical, we have been apathetic, and
sleep.
we've allowed people to just come in our community for over the years and do what they want to do and cripple our aspiration by inferior education that we can't use and bring in people from other countries who haven't been in the country 7 years and can vote, haven't paid any price, no struggle, and we have been here since 1640, and because of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, we are able to vote. If it wasn't for those amendments, we would not be able to vote.
Amen.
And these people come into our country not even knowing what our struggle is about.
And don't want to know.
And don't want to know and don't want to be involved in our struggle.
But it takes
And
benefits.
it's okay for the other people who came through Ellis Island, like the president's father did,
Yes, it did.
after black military veterans went into Germany during World War I and won them their freedom.
True.
He and his wife would come through Ellis Island, go into business of constructing, building housing and made a lot of money, built some more houses and didn't want to rent them to black people.
True.
We haven't said anything about that part of the picture. But it's been a continuous continuum that today in Roxbury and District 7, we find ourselves challenged with gentrification, challenged with outside developers coming in and building what they want and not what we need.
True.
People don't understand that HUD, Housing, Education, Development, has now submitted a $7 billion cut in their budget.
Say it again now. How much?
$6 or $7 billion dollars.
With a B. With a B.
Not million, billion. And what does that impact and who does it impact? It impacts us, neighbor.
Amen.
It's talking about what you thought was entitlements because you've been on them so long
That's right.
was really subsidies.
That's right.
I'm talking about Section 8.
True.
I'm talking about affordable housing. I'm talking about because you didn't vote in the numbers that you're supposed to vote in, as you didn't do on Monday, you are going to be facing a major situation nationally.
Amen to that, brother.
And you could thank your apathy and you're not standing up and speaking out and organizing to become a voters bloc over the years, and you keep talking about, well, I'm not going to vote for this person because I don't like him. He hasn't done anything. Well, they just did something to you
Thank you.
because you got that attitude and you don't have no gratitude. People actually got murdered. They got maimed. They got laws dug up and put in a hole and we never saw them anymore, and all they wanted to do was for us to stand up and vote.
And be counted.
Now, you ain't going to be counted because you don't count, because they are getting ready, meaning the Trump administration, to put the woolly bully on us if we don't wake up and don't smell the coffee. You got to drink the coffee. And it starts with a local election.
True.
Who will speak to the needs of our community? Who has spoken for the needs of our community? Certainly not the present mayor.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even want to pay mammoth over what the court ordered you to pay. You will order drones to hover over our communities and trying to catch criminals, but you won't finance the body camera that not only protects the police officers when they are supposed to be doing their duties, but it protects us too.
True that. True that.
So as long as you sit home and complain, that's what you're going to get. Zero. And right now, you're getting ready to get a double zero because in all probabilities, that funding cut that's proposed by HUD under the leadership of Sonny Carson, the heart surgeon, the black man that wanted to run for president and ended up buying in
True.
to the Trump strategy as the Secretary of HUD. Now, he was talking about what he was going to do for poor people, and that's the other thing, viewers. This is not a black issue. There are more poor white people,
True.
poor Latin people that are going to be affected by this than there are black people.
True that. True that. So true. I'm your host, Larry Higginbottom. The show is called Family Do Matter, brought to you by the Osiris Group. We are a mental health clinic. I'm joined in the house today with my good friend and colleague, Haywood Fennell. The co-host, Daisy Shillenford. She's not here, but we're going to
but we're here.
We're going to carry on. This is part two of a very personal dialogue. African American, who speaks to your interests? Who speaks to your interests? And again, it's okay if you don't agree with us, but you would be remiss if you did not say, well, you can't believe in so many folks behind. They're not doing well. And the strategy we own is the inclusive strategy of, minority, people of color, diversity, all that stuff. Anybody can come under that umbrella, but nothing speaks to your specific issues or needs. So I'm saying, neighbor, we need to have an exhale moment. Are we on the right track as a collective body? I say no. So call in, share your thoughts and beliefs, because as Haywood just said, $6 billion is about to be cut under Ben Carson.
That's right.
And guess what that means now, right? African American, right? Rent vouchers, right? Section 8, food stamp, daycare, you name it, because y'all took it for granted that, you're going to be able to sit up here and be financed to the day you die, and not be able to take care of yourself. Generational, all right? Well, now, there's a new sheriff in town, and he's saying to you, hell to the no.
That's right.
So what you going to do now? What you going to do now? And add to this here, right, you have been totally replaced by legal and also illegal immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
Since 1970 to now, I was reading a report, their population has increased by over 700%. There's 70 million of them. Most may be illegal. Okay, but guess what? When they come into the community, they don't go to Sharon, Newton, or Wellesley. They come to a Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan, Lamb, Brockton, impacting your school system for their kids who can't speak English. Let's be real, right? Also, public stock housing, they what? Compete with you for those public housing. Let's be real. When you go for a job, if they weren't here, you might could get 10, but because they're here, they'll take 7 or 8. Let's be for real. All right, social services, all these things impact you, African American. Because why they say, send me your poor and your tired, huddled masses. Who are they competing with? You, African American. Let me just read some thoughts I jotted down. You are not the offspring of a transparent immigrant who came here, had children. You have a history. You can trace your thoughts back to the 1800s, back to the plantation. Of everybody here, on somebody who can't go somewhere, it's you. You and I, we can't go nowhere. This is home. We are not a transplant immigrant offspring. We are Americans. We are Americans. But because we were bamboozled in the 70s, allowing the language to be so convoluted, right? Anybody can qualify and get ahead of you. Because why? They are a minority, or people of color, or diversity, or this here, multiculturalism. How does that address your historical or your current issues? I don't get that. See, they're not competing with me or folks like me. They're competing with you and your children. And I contend that our civic leaders, along with our ministers, have led the group astray. We have bought into a construct that is detrimental to African Americans. And let me also read this here. But it's this hope, though. This is what I think we should do. We need to get back when we were Negroes. These things we did well as Negroes. Colored people. Number one, you are a group. You must support and buy from what? African Americans. That, all groups do that. Who come here, they buy and support from their own. Next point. You can't expect other folks to employ you. You can't expect folks who come here to employ you. We've been saying it for years. That's insane. You must create jobs. You must be about creating jobs, because why? No one's coming to save us.
Got to save ourselves.
Every year I hear folks say, well, we need jobs. Who is the we talking to? Who are we talking to? Also, key point here. You should not spend your money with any group who will not spend their money with you. I repeat, you should not spend your money with any group who will not spend their money with you. That's financial suicide. But the group as a whole, too many do that.
Too many.
So again, folks, take your money.
Take your money.
Won't be bothered with you.
Don't want to hear nothing to do with you.
Nor your causes.
Right.
Okay? And they would elevate themselves.
On your back.
On your back. And the vast majority of African Americans, 47 years since 1970 has passed, the bulk of the race is dead last. In every meaningful category that speaks to quality of life, we are dead last. So I just want to have a conversation. I'm not asking you to agree with me. I'm just saying, let's look at this here. Are we on the right track? Who speaks to your interests? Who speaks specifically to the African American interest? I say no one, because most of our civic leaders and also religious leaders have brought into what the paradigm of what the Rainbow Coalition. The rainbow. There's no black in the rainbow, African American. There's no black in that rainbow. And the proof's in the pudding.
Look at it.
Who's been left out? You have.
That's right.
So call in. I know it's painful. It's painful to have to acknowledge that we've been asleep for 47 years. 47 years has transpired since 1970. Look at where the group is as a whole. They're not doing well. They're not doing well. And now, Ben Carson has slashed $6 billion.
Yeah, he did it.
Not million, hundreds of million, but $6 billion is coming out of HUD.
Yeah,
who's going to be impacted by that? You are.
That's right.
So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
You got him good with that one, man.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, you got him good with that one, man. You know, because the thing that we fail to understand, man, is that we keep voting for these people, man, that really don't care nothing about us.
At all.
You know, we get distracted with football and, you know, saluting the flag, and which I defended as a United States military veteran. And so does members of my family. And so do a lot of other black veterans. The point of the matter is that we don't respect each other.
That's right.
You know, we are down each other, talk about each other, hearsay about each other, but we will not sit down and look at ourselves and look at the situation that we find ourselves in, where we dead last every place.
Everywhere.
Across the board.
Everywhere.
Not just in Boston, Chicago, all those places that you have gangs running the city, shooting each other, go to the courtrooms and go to the schools because they're connected, folks.
Amen.
Black teachers are not standing up in the manner that they're supposed to and demanding that the curriculums and the plans for the curriculum involve parents and involve them, because the contributions that black people made to this country is stunning.
True.
When you look at it.
True.
But the people come here, and the other thing that I want to point out to our viewing audience is that we're not just talking about immigrants from south of the border.
True.
We're talking about immigrants that come from Europe.
All over. Doesn't matter.
See, they come from Europe in droves. And because of the pigmentation, they're able to get in a little quicker than those that are from south of the border that have that olive-colored skin.
Mm-hmm.
All right? So we got now in the news how Russia paid money to Facebook to aggravate the Black Lives Matter situation in Baltimore and Ferguson.
That's right.
This is Russia
That's right.
involved in agitating to keep people off balance about the legitimacy of our claim that the police officer said that he was afraid and felt threatened and murdered that man.
Murder. Murder.
See, we don't have our civic leaders on a constant, sustained, coordinated, persistent, consistent demand that black lives do matter and that they embrace that.
True.
No, they want to sit up there and then bring in these candidates, in particular the mayor of the city, and have him not so much say anything, but just let him be on the front row. And the inference is there that the church supports the mayor, when the mayor will not even pay Mamleo, when the mayor will not even debate Tito Jackson. Now, it's a lot of moral decadence involved in this here when you look at how the unions have over the years discriminated against our people and have them pay the toll of these jobs that have no upward mobility for them in terms of salary and positions. You can be a construction laborer, but you're not bringing in black people that are qualified to work as administrators in the construction industry. And those contractors that look like me and Larry are not afforded the opportunities to bid on some of these contracts. If you think I'm lying, go downtown to the Seaport District and look at all the buildings that's going up and buildings that's coming down and tell me how many black trucks are there moving rubbish. How many black women do you see with yellow hats on, those hazard hats? How many black young men? Because we didn't teach them that in school. We'd rather them to go to school and study sociology. We don't know anything about chemistry and the other sciences. We take the easy way out, and then that's why they lay the trap for us and catch us up in there where we will not have the aspirations to own our own. We'd rather work for somebody for 30 years and get a gold watch, if that, and a check, and have all this information. And if he give you $1 million, how much does he make? Or how much did they make off your ingenuity? How much? We must own some of this.
Right.
We must respect ourselves. Nobody is coming to save
Nobody's
us.
coming. They ain't came yet.
Nobody is coming to save
They
us.
ain't came yet.
We keep listening to them people talk about tomorrow. That's a song.
Right.
Tomorrow. That's by the Winans. We ain't trying to hear that. We want ours now, like N-O-W, now.
Now, whew, I'm your host, Larry Higginbottom. The show is called Families Do Matter. What we discuss and model in the family is critical to our children and to our community. I'm joined in the house today by my good friend and colleague, Haywood Fennell.
Holding it down.
Name of our show, African American, who speaks to your interests? I know it's personal. I know it can be painful. but we got to have a dialogue.
You need to call in.
And I just want to have a dialogue just to say to folks, are we going in the right direction? Are we as a group heading in the right direction?
You don't need to agree with us.
That's right, but you got to look at, critique where you are as a group.
Look
Because
at yourself.
from 1970 to now, that's 47 years.
47 years of nothing.
And the vast majority of African Americans, right, are dead last in every category that pertains to quality of life. As we say at my men's group at Morning Star every Tuesday, how you living, brother? How you living? How you living, sister? How you living? Are you living up to your standards? Are you living where you thought you'd be? How you living? And I contend from being out here in the trenches every day, Monday through Sunday, the vast majority of our people are not living that well. They're struggling, they're getting by, but that ain't living. After 47 years of struggle, we should have a lot more to show for.
And that has to do with leadership.
And also self-inflicted behavior.
Lack of leadership, excuse me.
Right. A lot of things we've done to hurt ourselves. Number one, we should not have no children if we're not married. I'm sorry. The proof's in the pudding. We should not have children if you're not married.
Babies raising babies.
Bottom line. Number two, your child should be first grade ready when he go to school. He should be first grade ready.
Take them away from the TV.
Yes, at Osiris, we see young kids, 6 and 7, don't know their colors, right? Can't count to 100. They don't know their sign. They can't do simple one-digit addition. That's appalling. So you send a child to school, he's not ready. You got 15 or 20 kids in that class. 6 or 8 might be like him. What's going to happen to him? He's going to opt out and fall behind. They are the one you see down there in the court system.
Yeah.
Okay?
See them all the time.
That comes back to a home issue.
Yeah.
The kid was never first grade ready. Another thing, folks don't come to America, African Americans, to lock arms and struggle with you. They come here to extract as much as they can from this country for themselves. Hear me now. They don't come here to struggle and agitate with you. They come here to get as much as they can out of America for themselves as they can. As they can. So again, because you're not thinking clearly, or you've been lulled to sleep, you are severely behind as a group. And your kids are. So again, if you don't start to critique where you are and say to yourself, is this working for us? Is this here inclusive umbrella of all groups from wherever who can come here from day one, from Nicaragua, right, Nigeria, no matter, and they stand just as good a chance as you of getting that job, getting that apartment, etc. Right? Something wrong with that. You cannot go to their country, have the same opportunity. And what they always say, send me your tired, huddled masses. But where do they end up? In your public housing, in your school system, compete with you for those jobs, on your social service network. They're not out there in Canton, Sharon, Norwood, where these folks who are making the policies to bring them here, where they live at, is not there. So I'm just saying, our civic leaders, I believe, have failed the very group that they swear that they love. Right. All other inclusion. Inclusion. How does that speak to the African American interest? Immigration is not our interest. DACA is not our interest. That's not our fight. Has nothing to do with us. Nothing to do with us. Because why? We didn't go get them. We didn't ask them to come here. That's their issue. Can you imagine, Haywood, out of 70 million Hispanic, if over half are illegal, you give them the right to vote? That's a serious voting block. I understand why many whites are opposed to it. No path to citizenship. I get that, because it's a voting block. Okay? And what they're going to do? They're going to what? Like any smart people, vote their interest. Every group vote their interest except African Americans. Somewhere we have been brain dead or bamboozled or,
We're like zombies.
Zombie to be afraid to vote our interest. Caller, go ahead, caller.
Good evening.
Caller.
Good evening.
Go ahead.
Yes, I have a comment, and my comment goes
Turn
like
keep
this.
Can't hear. Hold on for a second, we can barely hear you. Okay, go ahead, caller.
Good evening.
Go ahead.
Yes, I have a comment, and my comment goes like this. I'm a registered voter, and I'm not scared of the politicians that I voted into office, and I'm not scared of naming names like Linda Ciafone, Ayanna Presley, Michelle Wu, and others who represent me, even though I voted for them. I strongly feel that to answer your question, yes, we're losing here because it's not fair, because I feel like as a person who's a working poor, I feel like I'm not getting ahead of where I should be, because the minimum wage issue is always very debatable, whether it should go higher or lower or whatever. But it doesn't matter if it goes higher or stays where it is. You're still working for very little pay, regardless of how the company treats people or how the laws put it to play. And also, I strongly feel that if Boston wants to show the world and the rest of the country that it's moving forward in equality and not tolerating racism, inequality, income inequality, and so on, that we as people of color has to have a lot of support to Tito Jackson, because this is a man who does a lot for the community, and hopefully he's going to bring a lot to the city of Boston, because I feel like Mayor Walsh has really dropped the ball towards black people, because I haven't seen him ever since he got elected in parts of, at least the parts of Dorchester that needs economical development, like Compton Square, Upwards Quarters, and parts of Fields Quarter. And I still, to this day, don't understand why these politicians, the only time they come up is whenever something tragic happens in front of the media cameras, or when it's come time to vote. Because it's time for the voters to be smart about the next candidate, because it's the same old, because year in, year out, yes, I know politics starts locally, but I'm not benefiting from my local politicians. And this year, I'm going to vote, hopefully, some of them out of office, because they're not, these politicians, these people are not helping me economically. Yeah?
Caller, thank you for your call. You know, and the reason why we're having this dialogue is for folks like you can call in and say, hey, is it working? Is the path that we're on working? I contend for African American, it's not. Yeah, maybe 20%, 30% are doing fantastic. I'm one of those. But if my group's not doing well, I'm not doing well. Bottom line. You can't divorce yourself from the group. So I'm here to say, are we better off being under this inclusive umbrella of minority, people of color, diversity, multiculturalism, which does not speak to our Pacific interests, both historically and currently? I say the answer is no. And to those civic leaders, right, who are too intimidated to say, hey, how many jobs did African American get? How many contracts the city of Boston did African American get? How many candidates who was part of the Boston Police Cadet? How many are African American? How many African Americans are on the fire department in the new class coming in? For those who are intimidated to say that, you shouldn't vote for them. Because to me, they're not speaking towards your interest. They're on what called the Rainbow Express. Everybody and anybody can be included. We must understand how we got here. America was on fire in the late 60s, the riots. That was by Negroes, not folks from the Caribbean, not folks from Africa. It was the American Negro was rising up. They made a deal. Well, we got to let some of them in, you know, minorities, all right? And we can also replace them as cheap labor. The quickest route is down south of the border. I believe that those requirements were relaxed the last 47 years, and an influx of immigrants came in to replace African Americans. You go anywhere in this city, you see all folks are brown. I'm not begrudging them now. I believe what happened was deliberate. The top elite, both political and economic, got together to say, okay, we got to give them something. Affirmative action, minority, we let something become police firemen, etc., social workers, right? But we got to replace them as cheap labor. African Americans have been replaced as cheap labor. So again, you see all-inclusive umbrella, a person from Nigeria, anywhere, stands a better chance of being selected than you. And he or she, their roots don't run deep. Your roots are in the soil. Your tears are in the soil. Your blood's in the soil. You can trace your roots back to the plantation, back down to 1800s.
1600.
You know, I was home this past December in Mississippi. I went to the graveyard and saw plats of Higginbotham going back to the 1800s. So our root run deep. We're not the offspring of immigrant children. We are American. We are the only group who can't be sent nowhere. Hear what I'm saying? You and I can't be sent nowhere, but the vast majority of us in every meaningful category is dead last when it comes to quality of life issues.
Dead last.
And I'm saying to you, as a member of my group, we need to really exhale and say, are we going down the right path? I say no. And we should ask both candidates who running for mayor, both Mr. Jackson and Mr. Walsh, what are your plans, right, for African Americans? What are your plans for Mamio? The mayor already said that he has flat out refused to do anything with the body camera. Despite many, he won't that. Well, whose interest is he serving? Whose interest is he promoting? Is it yours, neighbor? I don't think so. So again, African American has been asleep for the last 47 years. But the good news is that the sun is rising. And it's time for us to be informed, engaged adults, and to demand that our country also make room for us at the table. Because the vast majority of you are not doing well. And where do these folks go, all these so-called tired, huddled masses? They inundate your school system, right? Your public housing, right? They compete with you for these jobs, right? Public services, they compete with you for that. They're not competing with what I call the upper crust, because why? It's your tired, poor, huddled masses. I say this here as an observer out here. We got enough poor people. We don't need no more. We don't need no more poor people. Let's integrate the ones we have. We can also assimilate those people that we have. We got enough of them. If anything, let's bring in folks based on skills. Skills. But we got enough poor people in America. We don't need no more. And African American has paid the blunt of all these so-called poor, huddled masses coming. Where they put them at? In your community. Think I'm lying? You go up there to Franklin Park. Go down to Franklin Hill Project. What do you hear? You go down to D Street Project. What do you hear? What do you hear? All foreigners. I got nothing against them. But they always say, well, they're looking for a better life. For as long as I can remember, neighbor, is that not what we've been looking for, fighting for a better life? Is that not what we've been fighting for, a better life? So again, whose country is it? You got roots here. You are not the offspring of a transparent parent who came and had a child. You are an American. You are an American. There's nowhere you and I can go. There's nowhere we want to go. So we should put a demand on our country to make sure, right, that we get a piece of the pie. And neighbor, America's about competition. You are competing with these groups now. Understand this here. You are competing with them. And they are here for one thing, to get as much out of your country as they can for themselves. So we need to really have a dialogue about this here. Is this here the best thing we're doing? I don't think so. I really don't. Everywhere I've been, New York, Atlanta, D.C., all right, Virginia, African American, when it comes to quality of life, is dead uno last. And I see something wrong with that. So I know it's painful. I know it's personal. But these are the kind of talks we need to have as a people, as a community, to decide what's in our best interest. And also, what are you going to leave the kids? What are you going to leave them? What are you going to leave them? What are you going to leave them? And the good thing is that you can turn it around. In our country, you can reinvent yourself. I'm living proof of that. My daughter's 26. When she was born in 1991, like many of you, I was the way you were, just getting along, low-paying job, etc. I decided to go back and reinvent myself. Here's what I did first. I took inventory as to where I was. Things and people that were not enhancing my development, I had to let go. I let them go. I went back to school, worked 2 jobs, low paying, but it's not where I was, it's where I wanted to position myself in the future. The late Sekou Mim and Dr. Omar Reed, a pyramid, say, hey, there's a field called what? Mental health. If you get a degree, MSW, Master of Social Work, you can build a solo practice, a group, or maybe become a clinic, which God has blessed me to become. So that was 26 years ago. Look at me now. But you got to start somewhere. You got to start over. If you're not where you want to be, you got to take inventory, look at what you're doing to yourself that's not working, what people in your life are not aiding in your development. You got to make changes. I did. So the good thing in our country, right, you can elevate yourself. You can create a better tomorrow if you make changes today. Because like Brother Haywood would say, $6 billion is going to be cut from Dr. Ben Carson. That's going to impact most of you all. So what's your plan? You're going to need a plan, a plan. Because it's just getting started, neighbor. It's just getting started. Brother Haywood?
Well, I got to tell you, listening to you, Larry, I had to go back to that minority term and the application in that white women are allowed to use their white skin, their sex, to displace other people that are far more worthy than they are.
They're minority, though. They're minority.
But they use minority to deal against us for our opportunities. We must no longer sit around and complain.
Too late for that now.
It's too late for that now, you know. And I always think about the book by Ralph Ellison, The Invisible Man.
Yes.
You know, I think about the people with the PhDs and the degrees, and they didn't really mean anything to those other folks.
Sure.
Because in the end, with them, it was just another,
Yes, it was.
you know, and they have this preconceived disposition about our people that we're not worthy. But what they fail to remember, and like you just reminded me, is that we're the only people in America that's not going to leave.
Nowhere to go.
This is our country. It's ingrained, our blood,
Sweat and
our
tears.
sweat and our tears, and bodies unaccounted for.
Yeah.
And then when you look at it, when Spain was called Iberia, our ancestors ruled them for
That's right.
300 years. So they were our slaves.
Yeah.
See, and in America, when you talk about our history, you just want to sit there and talk about slavery. Because you don't want people to know that we held you in bondage, but we treated you like human beings. We allowed you to earn your freedom.
True.
You couldn't earn your freedom here
True.
during the 16, 17, 18, and the 1900s, because quietness is kept, we're still slaves.
Add to the man.
Because we brought into a system of diminishing ends. Look what's happening today. Look at our country. They say, bring them in, tired. People need help. But the people that come in haven't done anything but try to separate themselves from those that are paid with their lives, which is African Americans.
Amen.
And I'm a proud American.
That's right.
I serve my country. I deserve to be heard.
That's right.
And we as a people need to understand that we are part of America as much as the Native Americans are.
That's right.
And that we are not foreign born.
That's right.
We are born in America.
Amen.
We are Americans.
Amen.
We're not fighting. You know, our leaders, a lot of them, you know, they get up on the media and they talk a lot of game, but they not living the game.
Amen.
See, they're being played and they want us to be played as well. How could you deliberately miseducate our children for 25 years and then when they look up and they haven't gotten the support from our black teachers with curriculums that will bring out the science and the math in us, those kind of skills where we can be at the table, not as in lunch, but as decision makers.
True.
We are no longer where we need to be, and it seems as though we're going backwards.
Yes, indeed.
That's why I respect that caller when he called in and said, look, hey, we got to change stuff.
Got that right.
That mayor ain't trying to do nothing for us. He'll come in our community when there's a lot of tragedies going on that end up with yellow and black tape. We got a higher funeral bill than any other ethnic group in the city of Boston because we kill each other.
That's right. Self-hate.
Self-hate. And we need to understand that we're not supposed to be dealing with death. We're supposed to be dealing in living.
That's right.
Changing things, changing paradigm, changing how we think, spiritually connecting with each other. But you can't do those things if you speak in whispers.
That's right.
You got to raise your voice and you got to believe in yourself. And you got to believe that you're the great people that I know you to be. We are way behind.
Way behind.
We are so far behind that a lot of people have given up. But I'm here to tell you, don't give up.
Don't give up.
You got to fight back. There's some people that died for us that you don't even know their names, that are in the graves right now. I'm so glad you had this show today, Larry.
Thank you.
You know, to open up some people's eyes. You don't need to agree with me.
Don't agree with us.
We don't want you to agree with us. We want you to think.
That's right.
Think. Because right now, you're not thinking.
We sure not.
Look when you go into our Dudley Station. Look what's there. Everybody owns something but us. And the other thing is that you got people running around here talking about changing the name of Dudley Station. If you change the name and don't change the game, it's still the same.
Yeah. Don't own nothing.
We don't own nothing. See, so why would you change? Oh, this was a slave owner that, okay, we'll name it the Booker T. Washington Square. That's not going to change the dynamics of the ownership.
You still broke.
We still, thank you, man. Thank you, man. Thank you, man.
Broke is always broke.
I mean, yeah, like, we so far back, man, that we like a drowning man grabbing straws in our struggle. So what I would like for to see done is those people that have been in position for the length of time that they've been, and this includes elected officials as well, because there's no such thing as a career politician.
True.
We don't need career politicians. We need people to go in there, set down some seeds, move on to something else, and let somebody else come in to push it a little further.
True.
Because power corrupts.
Absolutely.
Power corrupts absolutely. You know, and our politicians have failed us in many ways. So we got to the point where we're no longer dealing in politics. We're dealing in politics. And as long as you don't understand that economic development and politics are Siamese twins,
True.
You can't have one without the other.
Sure can.
Our people need to be inspired. Our people need to be encouraged. Our people need to understand that if you're not living the truth, you're living a lie.
True.
The dream is still there.
True.
Martin Luther King did not die for nothing.
Amen.
Malcolm was not murdered for nothing. We need to build and rebuild our leadership with an ownership attitude. Later for the Renner Center, how about Owner Center?
Well put. I'm your host, Larry Higginbottom. Here on a show called Families Do Matter, brought to you by the Osiris Group. I've been joined in the studio with my friend Haywood Fennell. I've been having a very personal dialogue. Yeah. African Americans, who is going to speak to your interests? Who is going to speak to your interests? And when you see Tito and the mayor, you should ask them personal questions about you. What are their plans for you, African American? For you. For you. And if they can't answer it, don't vote for them. Don't vote for them. It's time to come out from under what I call the tent of all inclusion.
Yeah, that ain't working.
It ain't working for us. No, because it dilutes your historical and your current needs.
People take advantage of us.
Yes, and everybody can benefit but you. Because why? The minority, they got no skin in the game, but they can all benefit. But let me leave you with these final thoughts. We need to, your group, support your group. Buy from the group whenever possible. Okay? You must not expect anybody to employ you. You got to start to plant the seed of what? Entrepreneurship. Yes. You got to start to plant that seed. No jobs are coming for you and I. You must also be about creating jobs for yourself. Wherever you see an opportunity, you have to think, can I create a job here? Can I? Finally, I wouldn't spend no money with nobody who wouldn't spend money with me. I'm sorry. I would not spend money with a group that would not spend money with me.
No,
I wouldn't do that.
That makes plenty of sense because you got Chinese people that have these restaurants in our community selling us this stuff with all them different kind of ingredients in it, and I never seen a black person working in a Chinese store.
And you never will. So neighbor, I know it's painful, but the good thing in our country, you can reinvent yourself. I'm living proof of that. I'm living proof.
Second.
So again, until next time, be well, be safe, but remember, no one's coming to save you.
We got to save ourselves.
No one's coming. Until next time, be safe and God bless.
God bless you.